When people learn that I first met my husband in a dream, they often ask me, "Were you doing something special?" Well, I was. And it isn't something that you're likely to read about in a dream manual. In a minute, I'm going to tell you what it was. Hello, it's Carol Chapman. My husband and I have now been married 22 years. However, I had the dream during a time when I was a single mom. I had 3 kids who were about teenage age. I'd just gotten my bachelor's degree, and it had been very, very hard on the kids and I to get that degree. We weren't receiving hardly any child support, no alimony. It was a very rough time in our life. I had to keep going with my schooling. I'd ended up on food stamps. I'd ended up on aid for dependent children, welfare. I'd maxed out my credit cards. I couldn't pay my mortgage. I lost the house. It was very important to me to get an education. And I did get my degree, and I finally got this wonderful job that was fantastic. But I was just starting out, and I just wasn't earning enough to take care of me and the kids. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but we furnished our house on bulk garbage days. And what that means is that you at night, because in the daytime you're too embarrassed to do this, plus you have a car that's a junk heap, you drive into the better parts of town around midnight or later when most people are asleep on bulk garbage day, and you put your headlights out to see what people have discarded. And if there's something that looks like it's still working or it hasn't fallen apart, you put it in your trunk and you bring it home and you furnish your house with it. So the kids and I, we slept on one bed. I slept on the mattress. My daughter's on the box spring, and my son just on a bunch of folded up blankets on the floor. We were doing our best, but we really needed some help. And I not only wanted to fall in love with someone, but I wanted someone that was going to help me out in this situation. And my husband has been wonderful for that. However, the important thing that you probably won't read in a dream manual is that occasionally your dreams come true. Now, this isn't the first dream that had come true. And when your dreams do come true, you have to be willing to take the risk to see if the dream is true. So let me give you an example from years before that, when I was married to my first husband and had my first child. Well, this poor baby kept crying, and I didn't know what was wrong with him. And I had this dream, and in the dream there was this baby, and he had a bump on the bottom of his jaw, and the dream said he was cutting a tooth. Well, if you look at a dream dictionary, it'll tell you that teeth can mean taking a bite of life. A baby can mean a new beginning. But I thought, what the heck? I have a baby. Let's see if he's got a bump in his jaw and he's cutting a tooth. Well, he was. So the dream explained to me why his cheeks were red and his snot was running and his tears were running and he was crying all the time. And so then I could go out and get him something to chew on and basically make his life better. But see, I was showing that inner knowing that comes through in your dreams, that I was willing to work with it. So then it was willing to work with me. And a number of years later, I had this dream about this real person that I then met him in real life the next day. And the details in the dream about his house, his dog, his best friend, and his work turned out to be correct. So this is something that I suggest that you do also, because your dreams come out of your subconscious. And in fact, some people think that your dreams are your soul talking to you. Whatever it is, there is this part of you that really, really cares about you more than anything on earth, because it's your real self. And it's trying to get through to you and give you messages in your dream. And so therefore, not only is it a good idea to look at symbols in your dreams. For example, the dream about the man in my dream where I met him the next day and he's now my husband. In that dream, he was standing on a stage. Well, a stage often symbolizes a new stage in your life. So there were symbolic parts of the dream, and there were also real parts of the dream. Occasionally, take the risk. If it's not going to hurt you or anyone else, try out. You dream about a recipe, try it out. Dream about reading a book, find out if it exists. Take the risk. This is Carol Chapman. I'd be interested in your comments down below. Maybe you've had a similar dream.